Hey there, it is Rob from Crypto Bobby, and today I want to talk to you about ICOs or initial coin offerings and what the difference is between making 200, 300, 400 plus percent profit and losing. Quite frankly, I've done both, and it's pretty easy to do both. It's pretty easy to make a lot of money on ICOs, and it's also very easy to lose a lot of money on ICOs if you don't know what you're doing. And like I said, I've done both, so I want to walk you through kind of my thought process, what I did, how I made money, how I lost money, and the uniqueness of both scenarios so that you can learn from me and also make sure that hopefully you can make money, but at the very least you don't lose money in this crazy space. So that's what we're going to talk about today. If you are new here, hit the subscribe button. I do daily crypto videos as well as a crypto happy hour live stream number of different times a week, just trying to bring you things in the most kind of level-headed, sane manner possible, trying to separate from a lot of the craziness that's out there. But let's get started. So yesterday, September 5th, the Monetha tokens were released. I actually got in on the Monetha ICO thanks to a smart contract writer on Reddit called Syntax. So I participated in Syntax smart contract writer. I contributed about 8 Ethereum to the Monetha ICO. And as of right now, that's looking like a pretty good move, quite frankly. So right now, if we go back and I could take a look here, I'll pull this up. But I contributed about 8, I believe it was 8.1 Monetha, or excuse me, 8.1 Ethereum, and I got 19,245 Credo, or a rate of about 0.00042 and some change Monetha MTH per Ethereum. So if we go over back to Ether Delta, which is the first exchange that is offering Monetha, it is a decentralized Ethereum exchange for ERC20 tokens. If you're not familiar with it, typically the very first place that's going to offer anything. But so Monetha was offered, or is now offered for sale right now, and is trading on Ether Delta. And the trading price is about 2x of what, basically of what we see right here. So 0.0042. The majority of these, basically the majority of the order book right now is looking more along the lines of, the offer right now is actually 0.0082 for the majority of offers. So when we're looking at things, and that's kind of where, there's been some trading up and down. There's not a ton of liquidity in comparison to a lot of things, but it's some of the most right now in Ether Delta. But if we're looking at it, 0.0082 is kind of the average offer there. So if we go back and see, it's nearly a 2x profit in 24 hours since the token was released, going from 0.00042 to 0.00082, almost 2x there, and probably will be 2x soon. So I've basically taken those 8.1 Ethereum that I have, and I've moved them to, those are probably worth about 16 Ethereum right now. Now I haven't sold yet. I'm debating whether or not I should take some profits as of this point in time and take those profits on Ether Delta, or if I should wait till the Monetha goes on an exchange like Liqui, where there's a little bit more liquidity and maybe it's a little bit of a spike once it gets added to to Liqui, or if I should just be happy with those 2x profits. But granted, this was an ICO that was successful for me. Right now I'm well profitable. This trade is looking out nicely. It's turned out well for me. I'm very happy with how things have looked for Monetha. Now on the other side of the spectrum, I'm going to talk about another cryptocurrency that I invested in during the ICO that was not as successful. And this is something called Credo. We can see here I have the order book for Credos right now. It's the Credo token. If you're not familiar with it, essentially it's basically a token for email spam. If you want to send an email to somebody, you have to send them Credo, and that's basically a token to try to reduce email spam. And long story short, it's a token to help reduce email spam. But outside of that, in the ICO process, I believe I invested on the second day of the ICO. It was a smaller ICO, but it was backed by Tim Draper, who is a pretty big venture capitalist in in San Francisco. And I thought with Tim Draper's backing and a couple other things that it might be worth putting some money in. So I put about 4.5 Ethereum into that, and we can take a look here. About 4.5 Ethereum at that point in time. Not an incredible investment, not incredibly massive investment, but big enough to make a difference. And that was at 0.0026, I believe, at the ICO was kind of that ratio of Credo per ETH. And right now it's trading at, we'll kind of take a look here, but it's trading at about 0.000085. So it is down a significant amount. Almost down, I believe, about 300%. I'm not going to run the math on it right now, but that initial investment right now is that 4.5 Ethereum. If we're looking on a dollar basis, the 4.5 Ethereum that I initially invested in is now worth only $551. So it's worth less than 2 Ethereum. So I've taken a haircut on this. I haven't sold yet. As of this point in time, it's only $500. But I did really lose 2 Ethereum in valuation. So it hasn't been a great trade by any stretch. To see, this basically from an ICO perspective, the second the ICO came out, there's just no positive momentum. And it hasn't done well at all on the open market on Ether Delta, and it's not listed on any other exchanges yet at this point in time. So if you want to see here too, as far as it goes, yeah, here's my 16,000 Credo here that are basically, it says worth nothing, but it's worth about $500 now. And then we can see here my 19,000 Monetha, which is also relatively new. So Etherscan says it's worth 0. But what I want to talk to you about is what the difference is between Monetha and Credo, and kind of why Monetha, my Monetha investment is now worth 2x in 24 hours of what I invested in. Why I basically made at this point in time 8 Ethereum on that investment, and paper gains of 8 Ethereum. And on the other side of the house, why when I invested 4.5 Ethereum in Credo, why that is now down to less than 2 Ethereum in terms of paper value there, because I haven't sold either of them, so it's really just kind of paper gains, paper losses. But the difference really, in my opinion, right now is when you invest in an ICO, you want to make sure it's an ICO with a ton of excitement behind it. You want to make sure that it's basically an ICO that has a couple different things. Number one, there's a strong team behind it. Number two, and a recognizable team that you can actually justify putting your money into. So recognizable team, people from big company backgrounds, whatever it might be. Number two, you want a capped ICO. That's important. You don't want these uncapped ICOs that raise these ridiculous sums of money, and then you are basically left holding the bag after the ICO at this huge valuation. People didn't realize how big the valuation was going to be, and then it drops like a rock. And then three, and I think this is important, is you really want to recognize the ICOs that are going to sell out. Monetha sold out in, I think it was 15 minutes, if that. It sold a ton. We can pull it up here, but Monetha sold out its ICO extremely, extremely quickly. And that was, I think, really, really important. So they raised $37 million in 18 minutes. Credo, on the other hand, let's see if I can pull this up. So let's see if I could pull up the Credo token. It doesn't even come up in Google right now, which is not the best thing on the planet. So we can go over here to Credo BitBounce. So they raised $11 million, which is respectable. That's obviously a lot of money. That's great news. $11 million. But the thing and the difference here is Monetha raised $37 million in 18 minutes. Credo raised about $11.3 million over the course of a month. Granted, I invested on day 2, but from what I'm starting to see is that if the ICO isn't selling out, it's not necessarily a 100% fact. But if the ICO isn't selling out, in a short time frame, then once things hit the market, it's not necessarily going to have the excitement that something like Monetha does. Granted, Monetha can crash right now. Who knows? But the fact that they raised $37 million in 18 minutes, it means that they probably could have raised, honestly, they probably could have raised another $70 million from people who weren't able to get into the ICO and are either pissed that they didn't get into the ICO, or now they're trying to go to Ether Delta and buy as quickly as possible after the ICO, kind of getting that FOMO feeling and going up as much as possible. There is no FOMO feeling for something like Credo because it took a month to launch. So that in that sense, if you wanted to get in on this ICO, you could have really, really easily. There is no FOMO because there's no momentum to it. There's no sellout. So I think that's honestly one of the big things in the space that you want to be aware of, is that if the ICO isn't going to sell out, you probably don't want to invest in it. And to that point as well, if you don't know if an ICO is going to to sell out, then you should probably stay away from it just in general. So a couple different things. Number one, if you know an ICO is going to, if you don't know an ICO is going to sell out, or you're not sure if it is or it isn't, what should you do? Well, in my opinion, a lot of this comes from just having a kind of a pulse on the industry, doing a lot of research, speaking to a lot of people. Is this something that people are excited about? Are they on Reddit? Are they on Twitter? Are they talking about this ICO? Are they excited about it? Is there build up around it? Try to build connections in the cryptocurrency space so you can learn about these ICOs like a Monetha that are coming up, and not try to go over to like a Smith & Crown website and just find some random ICO that's halfway through its contribution period, 2 weeks old, and throw money in, because that's probably not going to work out too well for you, quite frankly. Another thing that's important is that you have to do this work up front. You can't say, for the most part with this, you can't, like I said, talk about Smith & Crown. You can't go onto Smith & Crown right now, or you're not going to want to go onto Smith & Crown right now and try to find one of these ICOs that has a contribution period that is going on at this point in time. Let's just say Gene Chain Coin. You're not going to want to go on and see, okay, this started in June 1st of 2017. It ends December 31st. That's not the type of, in my opinion, that's not the type of ICO you want to look at, because there's not going to be any excitement. It's the reason that it has basically no end date. There might be a little bit of kind of back and forth there, but those you want to recognize. You don't want to invest in an ICO that's already open and has been open for a bit of time. You want to be laser focused on finding the ICOs that are going to have a ton of momentum. People are going to be really excited about. There's going to be a lot of build up, and you want to laser focus, deploy your capital, deploy your investment to that. And then, if you're looking for a quick flip, or if you're looking to buy and hold, then do that. But that's going to be a lot more effective than going to something like a Smith & Crown or any of these websites that have these kind of random ICOs that, whether it's this virtual cashback. I don't know anything about virtual cashback. I don't want to disparage virtual cashback, but the ICO has now been open from July to October. If they can't raise all the money they need in like a week or two, there's probably not going to be any excitement once it hits the market, and this is a token that may or may not be worthless in the near future. Whereas something like Monetha, and there's a ton of ICOs that have been like this, and the ICOs that I've been successful investing in, like Civic has been a really good one. That one basically sold out. They had a queued system, but that one sold out, was oversubscribed essentially. Civic I invested in, that one clogged the damn Ethereum network, and that's sold out, and that's done well for the most part, although that's a dip lately. 10x Pay Token, another one I tried to get in on the ICO and actually didn't get in. My transaction didn't get in. But if I got in, I would have made an extremely healthy profit on 10x. So that's another one too. Those are the types of ICOs, these ones with the big built-up excitement surrounding them, that people are really looking forward to. That's where you want to put your money in, not necessarily these kind of long, drawn-out ICOs, whether that's by on purpose or by accident. But this is something that I found, is that the ones with the excitement, the ones that sell out quickly, are the ones you want to be in on. Like a Monetha, like a 10x, like a Civic, whatever it might be. The ones that sell out quickly in less than a day are the ones you want to be in on. So you have to make that determination beforehand of what that's going to be. Because if you don't, if you start trying to do your transaction 2 minutes into the ICO, you're too late. If you try to do it 30 minutes later, the ICO is already over. So that's the type of thing you need to make that determination. You need to do the research ahead of time. You need to do the legwork ahead of time. And you need to know exactly where you're going to put your money the second that ICO clock opens up and you're good to go. And that's something that you need to be aware of. So if you can't, quite frankly, and in my opinion, if you can't make the determination, or if you're not able to know, and you don't have a good feeling of like which ICOs are eventually going to be the ones that sell out, I wouldn't invest in ICOs as of right now, because what happened to me could easily happen to you. This was a little bit of time ago. I really don't know what I was thinking, but you make mistakes and you do stupid things. I saw a big VC was invested in it, and it got me excited, and I was like, yeah, I'll throw 4.5 ETH. This 4.5 ETH is now worth, it's now worth about, my 4.5 Ethereum is now worth, let's see, we'll take it, $511 times. It's now worth about 1.5 Ethereum. So I went from 4.5 Ethereum to 1.5 Ethereum. I lost 3 ETH on a trade. Like, that's stupid. In cryptocurrency, how do you lose money? This is how you lose money. Do stupid things. I did something stupid. Don't do the same thing that I did. Outside of that, guys, if you have any questions on ICOs in general, how to pick what you're looking at, just overall how to be successful, please let me know. Sound off in the comments. I would really, any questions that you have, happy to answer them as much as possible. And if you are new again to this channel, if you found this video helpful, hit the subscribe button. That would be fantastic. My name is Rob from Crypto Bobby. Thank you so much for your time today. Good luck, whether you're buying, if you're trading, if you're holding, if you're selling. Good luck. I hope you kill it. Best of luck, and peace.